So yes, the word, the cognitive neuroscience of dreaming is as vast a topic as the words written below: neuronal systems, consciousness, and learning. They are all very difficult to understand, to compile them in words. But I have here tried to bring about some key points to basically understand the phenomenology and physiology of dreaming. It is based upon a nature review by Hobson and Schott, summarized by me. So let's start with the basic understanding of dreams. What are dreams? And see, we are going to start with phenomenology, and we are going to prove those myths created by the phenomenology and the years of studies of dreaming by the physiology of the dreaming. So, what the old researchers have said about dreaming is that it is a daily life process that helps out processing emotions, especially the negative ones that we repress at sometimes at some point of time by encoding and constructing memories of them. The mechanism is important also for mental health and physical health because it is directly related to carrying out the negativity and the anxiety that is produced due to the emotions that are repressed in your mind. So, because as usual, Freud came into this picture also and gave his play, which was centered around the notion of repressed bonding. That is the idea that dreaming allows to sort through unresolved and repressed issues. But what he said about the dream content was a bit contrasting. See, he said that daytime experiences, whatever we experience in the daytime, that triggers the emergence of related memories, and then this particular thing is creating the dream content, which was somehow not digestible. So, to fortunately prove him wrong, some subjects assess their dream reports, paying attention to identifiable memory sources, and this results show that dream content does not represent episodic memories at all. Episodic memories are the memories that are available when we are awake, as in these episodic memories are related to some episodes of life. Instead of this, we found out that discrete fragments of negative memory or everyday memories, also including semantic memories, assembled to create the very absolute discontinuities and incongruities of dream content, which is we all experience that we are so nonsensical and they are not as am I audible? Just let me confirm.
Yes,
Yes,
you
you are.
are, but then there's a
See,
little bit of a problem due to the
fine.
network, I guess.
I understand because I have network issues around here. That is why I keep confirming.
Okay,
So
so
please
it's
keep
it's 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 great right now.
checking on
It
that.
is great right now. So go on.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Okay. So I was on this point that we found out in a way that discrete fragments of narrative memory or semantic memories actually assemble to create the plot, this continuity in the plot dream content. Now, this information that is actually responsible for creating out this dream content is pseudo-sensory, as it seems. So this word pseudo-sensory attracted me and driven me to actually create out this whole project. So I'm going to start with this basis and know what triggers this information into the brain, or is it out of blue, which is absolutely not possible. So this is a chart which is an important one for me because it actually shows that after regressive researches, now it is showing that during wake state we acquire some information, and then during NREM that real-time information. How this happens, you just see the fourth point. During NREM, the information is conveyed from hippocampus to the neocortex. Now, remember this point as it is really important to proceed further. During NREM, information is conveying from hippocampus to the neocortex. Okay. Now, this information, which is iterated all throughout the NREM, we are integrating that information during REM, and then this whole information is actually used to create the dream content, which is of my interest. The conscious experiences, as described in the format of sensation perception, that is vivid and purely internally generated. There is no external source of it. And we can actually prove this by coming a bit down. PGO waves in lateral geniculate nucleus. The PGO waves are, let me tell you what is it. It is a system of waves. Pons for P for pons, G for geniculate nucleus, and O for occipital lobe. Now these waves somehow make these three areas to interact with each other. And since long time, researchers have connected the PGO wave system to the REM dreaming, or you say REM dream content. Okay, so EEG waves that are generated during REM are as, uh, I mean, they are a picture of same as what we are seeing in wake state. That means there is a level of cognition that is going on inside the brain during REM sleep also, that shows that yes, brain is still working. Now, yes, yet another important point that we should note down here is cholinergic systems is suddenly going down up while in REM, and aminergic system is going down while in REM. So please remember these important points because I'll need to explain them later in the project. Okay, so this is an important slide. When you see PGO waves, they are known, or they might convey pseudo-sensory information from REM activated subcortex. Now remember, subcortex is REM activated to the neocortex, which is involved somehow in dreaming. Now, but if this is possible, then how come there is absence of episodic memories which actually reflect inaccessibility of hippocampally stored information in the dreaming brain to the dreaming brain? Now, this might be possible by this whole statement that whole subcortical region is actually interacting with neocortex, but hippocampus is staying the side and saying, no, I'm not going to join you in. But that is not possible because we all know about neuroplasticity. That is, the brain works all together in whole unit as a whole unit. So what's wrong with this? How is hippocampus role is so vague and it is not so clear? So let's study this later. What is the origin of pseudosensory information for dreaming? Now here I'll actually clear out the picture in which the hippocampus is actually working. Now if you see the whole diagram down here, can you see my cursor?
No,
Can
we
you see the
can't.
cursor?
Yes,
You
now we
can't
can.
see the cursor.
We can. We
Okay,
can.
sure.
Probably. Uh, no, we can't.
Now you can. Okay,
Uh, no,
so
we can't even now.
this laser point is
Ah,
not
yeah, yes,
available.
yes, 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 yes.
Okay. So if you follow the histogram and compare it to the sensory and the transference of information, you can actually compare and see that while in awake state, the sensory input from the outside is actually transferring to the neocortex, which can be understood as a important process for memory consolidation and other important processes that we relate to somehow sleep or dreaming. But then the information, the sensory input from outside to the neocortex, it entered, and then the whole process is stopped. Then the information is it. I mean, it has to be conserved in a way. It has to be carried forward to one and the another thing. It cannot be lost. It cannot be created. So then this sensory input from neocortex keeps moving forward to hippocampus for memory consolidation. And then in NREM state, as we as we saw in the last slide, the information from the NREM in the NREM state from the hippocampus move towards the neocortex. And then this process is obviously it is continuous. And then there might be some anomaly, there might be some abnormal chances by which the information from neocortex is leaking towards hippocampus. And this keeps increasing by turn by turn. That this is a bit smaller, and then it increases, and then a lot, and then a lot, and then a whole lot of the information is coming backwards to the neocortex from the hippocampus. That means it is clear. Neocortex and hippocampus are actually interacting, but on a different side. which is a normal this that might be an anomaly. I mean, that cannot be normal. So that is what I think, that wave like flow of information from neocortex to hippocampus might be possible, and that is possible by enhanced uh, I mean, this is a sudden elevation in acetylcholine level, as we saw in the last slide. So that might be a complete anomaly of nature, or say, or whoever created us, just just an anomaly by which we can see beautiful dreams out there in night. So this is how we actually come to a conclusion that semantic memory forms the basis of neocortex, and none other of the memories are involved in this process. So the semantic memory is actually involved in a way that if we see a tree in the dream, we do not recognize it as an abnormal object. We know that yes, it is a tree, it is an apple. If it is a red edible spherical object, we know that is an apple. So all that is working behind dream content is semantic memory. No episodic memory, no nothing else is actually being entered into it. So yes, it is still very contradictory, seems arbitrary. But let's come on to the physiological points. But before that, we have some points to prove about REM sleep. Like, how would it explain the neural basis of conscious experiences in the form of dreams? Now, these 2 points are really important to prove that REM dreaming or REM sleep is actually a conscious process. How? The cognition associated gamma frequency, which is, yes, very tough to attain if you actually study the whole deep process. We do it in the lab. I know one of my seniors do it in the lab, and I know how difficult it is to actually attain a level of this 50 hertz, 60 hertz is very easy to speak about, but it is very difficult to attain this. Conditions it is achieved, and but see, while in dreaming, while in REM sleep, you can attain this very easily because you're focused. You're actually thinking a lot about it. So all these is very related. So loss of their synchrony between frontal and posterior cortices also is important point. I want to focus on this because we relate REM sleep or dreaming to a lot many cognitive processes. Not only dreaming is a cognitive process, but a lot many are, like memory consolidation is one of the basic processes, and we also say that sleeping rejuvenate us. So this is all related to that. Now, this point is wants to clear that loss of their synchrony, I mean, the oscillations are both different in frontal and posterior cortices, because they both, according to me, are absolutely involved in different processes. Now, I am going to clear this point in the further diagram, which I'm going to present. But before that, I want to probe another point, that the REM sleep or REM dreaming is purely hallucinatory, and that is proved by this particular study and this phrase that as the brain goes, so goes the mind. As in, mind is nothing but the thoughts and cognition. So as the brain goes there in different stages of sleep, in different types of activities it is involved, then the mind goes the same way. As in, you can see in this paragraph that this all thing, the thoughts are coming down and down and down in the same corresponding level. The hallucinations are going up and up and up. So this is how we conclude that waking suppresses hallucinosis in favor of thought, and then REM at the same time releases hallucinosis at the expense of thought. So here is no directed thinking while we are sleeping or while we are dreaming while in REM stage. So this is how we prove that, of course, the whole information that is coming inside, it is all internally generated. There is nothing external. There is nothing stimulations from the outside. That is all internally generated, and it is, of course, a beautiful process. That is one of the beautiful processes of the brain. So yeah, we also say that it is a conscious process, but how do we actually prove this out? So we say that frontal region is the basic, I mean, the main region that is involved in this process of dreaming. And how do we actually prove it? That frontal areas lag behind more posterior ones in reactivation after awakening. How come? This whole sleep is a five-stage process. Wake and then thoda active, it's SWA and then it's NREM, then REM, then again NREM, and the whole process. But how the frontal areas get activated and then get deactivated and then get again activated while in REM, and then while in REM it goes to sleep, because see, it seems that great SWA in frontal or conscious region is is observed during an REM episode, and that proves that yes, the frontal region is actually going down while we are in an REM episode. But at the same time, we have seen that prefrontal cortex, or you see neocortex, is basically involved in the whole dreaming process. So it seems that in NREM episode, the whole frontal region has greater SWA, this oscillations, and then in REM stage it suddenly goes up, and then during all these things it is active, very much active, and then again comes down. So this is how frontal areas are more affected by sleep inertia and working memory. We also refer to it as a normal delirium because we can, compare the actual characteristics of schizophrenia with the this dreaming process, because there is, let's see this. Limbic hyperactivation is combined with frontal hypoactivation in both these processes, normal, I mean, the dreaming process also, and normal in awake state. If a person is schizophrenic, the whole process is repeating inside, uh, I mean, with that person in awake state. Okay, I can clear that. If you know about schizophrenia, then great. If you don't, just see the movie based on the Nobel laureate John Nash. So he was a great mathematician, and he was schizophrenic, and that is beautifully represented in the movie The Beautiful Mind, and it is very, relatable, that whatever we see in our dreams is actually happening with the person in the wake state, and that is how we are also called dreaming as normal delirium. So yes, after all these phenomenological things, we now come to the physiological part. That what is the real dream mechanism, the brain-based mechanism. Old model of dreaming was based on cholinergic and aminergic system, that is also known as activation synthesis model. So it says that suddenly this acetylcholine goes up, and this aminergically demodulated brain during REM sleep can be observed. So yes, it is obvious. We just talked about that. But how come then how the entire brain is actually coming together to create the content of dream? That is what is going to be, seen in this particular diagram. But let's just also discuss first the AIM model, the activation input source and modulation state space model, in which it is seen that activation is high, input is entirely internal, and the forebrain is cholinergically activated and aminergically demodulated, which we also see in activation synthesis model. But again, negative point of activation synthesis model says that it is, I mean, the whole process is very arbitrary. Everything comes about, and if something happens and some neural circuits are forming, uh, any information can be taken and suddenly it can be visualized. But that is not true, and that we are going to see in this particular diagram. So let's just be clear about what the colors are representing. The subcortical and neocortical areas are relatively activated during dreaming, which we talked about in the first half itself, that the whole subcortex and neocortex are somehow relatively activated, and they are somehow interacting to each other to create something out of what the information they have already stored in them, and how do they modulate that all. But this color is actually representing the deactivated part, the neocortical areas that are actually deactivated, and that also has a significance. How? I'll let you know. Sensory input and motor input are blocked, so this part is actually not, you know, communicating, because we know that while in REM sleep we get a sudden, you know, temporary paralysis. This is known. So this is what is actually based. I mean, this is what the reason behind the actual paralysis is, that the primary motor and the sensory cortices are not in interaction with each other. That is why there is a paralysis sort of state. And then the purple region is whole active and it's contributing in the active dreaming. So yes, okay, let me just confirm again. Am I audible? I should be.
Yes, you are audible.
Thank you so much. Okay. So this is the first region. Yeah, laser point. This is the first region that is also the basic part that is responsible for, you know, dreaming, and what we talked about in the last half, in the first half, that PGO system. The PGO system is whole, somehow relative to eye movement and motor pattern information. That is, I don't know how, and I don't know really that how and what's the mechanism behind it. It's just that people relate PGO to dreaming, and that is what I follow. So this is the basic region which is activated in the brain and is responsible, which is fontanelle, midbrain, RAS, reticular activating system, and nuclei. So if we come forward to the second structure in the series, in this is in hierarchy. This can be in hierarchical order, or this can be in a way they are interacting with each other. So just observe it properly. Second structure is diencephalic structures, which are also hypothalamus and this basal forebrain. They are, of course, involved in consciousness and instinctual elements. Whatever they do is, of course, related to that. Now, this particular thing is, you know, this arrow is referred to activating activation system, ascending activation system, sorry. So this is actually, you know, going in a hierarchical way. After this, and they're interacting all together. Now, the third structure is anterior limbic structures, which are all, you know, included in this, and nothing. All the social and, you know, emotional parts of the dreams are affected by this particular anterior limbic structure region. Now, the fourth region is dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, which is relatively demodulated or deactivated while in dreaming, because yes, there is no logic. There is no logic while we are dreaming. There is no working memory, as in there is no episodic memory also. So we can clearly say that this region must be, and of course, it should be always demodulated, because then if this is, of course, this is activated, then our dreams would make sense, and that is not very healthy for us. So let's see the fifth point, the basal ganglia. The fifth region that is activated is basal ganglia. It initiates the fictive movement of the dreams, and which is, of course, important. Then the sixth, this is not also much important region, so we'll skip it out. The sixth part, which is my favorite, also is thalamic nuclei, or you know, lateral geniculate nucleus we just talked about in the PGO system. So this is actually is responsible for the relay of sensory and pseudo-sensory information to cortex, which is, of course, what's the point I am going to, I have been trying to prove all this time, that the whole process is non-arbitrary. This is all planned. I mean, this is all connected. So this is all pseudo-sensory, but yes, this is not non-arbitrary. I mean, this is not arbitrary. So yes, the PGO system is in a way planning for things, everything we are seeing in dreams. And this is LGN, thalamic nuclei, is you know, an explanation of that point only. So its work is to transmit PGO information to cortex. And then the seventh and eighth region, these both are deactivated because sensory motor hallucinosis has to be there. And then also 10th part is also demodulated, I mean, sorry, deactivated again for the same purpose. I don't know why I'm saying demodulated again and again. The ninth part, that is, of course, activated equally and as important as a region of Broadman areas, as Broadman area 40. It is for the spatial organization, which is, yes, when we see lucid dreams, we know what the particular orientation, what the special orientation is, which is really important to be there, because then the dreams would not make any sense at all, which is not at all healthy again. 11th part is visual association cortex, of course. Now, if you want to see, this part is really important to be activated. But if you ask me, then how do we see? Can you visualize the dreams? As children, as an enthusiast, I also thought this at some time, at some point of time, that I will make a device which will actually visualize my dreams. I'll be sleeping, and people would be seeing my dreams. But that's not actually possible as of yet. But of course, we as humans can do anything and everything. So we'll try to do it in some time later in life. And of course, I'll also do it. I'll also try to do it. Okay. So the 12th part, the cerebellum, is actually, fine tuning of movement is its actual role, and which is also performed in the same way in dreaming also. So this was all about the physiology and how the brain is coming together to actually bring out this function, and which was also of my interest. So I end this whole particular thing on this note, and with summary, I say that activation as activation synthesis hypothesis said that dreams are electrical brain impulses that were random thoughts and imagery from our memories is not true. How can it be true? How can it be so random and arbitrary? That's my choice. That's my thought. Let me prove it in some sense in some future. I hope I will do, and I'll be here again explaining the real motive and real basis of dreaming to you after some years. The ascending arousal systems also activate four brain regions involved in dream construction and is different from, of course, waking arousal processes. These all are there's a distinction, a slight distinction between awake and dreaming state, but of course they are different. Now, yes, the medial cortical circuits are also involved and linking posterior association and paralimbic areas. That is why the dreams are so emotional and thing. And proved this. I explained this point with the limbic structures. And finally, it is the dreaming often involves a suite of emotional, motoric, instinctual, and subcortical circuits. So this is all. This is all where I end. References and acknowledgement. Thank you, teachers, and thank you, everyone, to listening out.
Thank you for a nice presentation.
So I'll clap on everyone's behalf. So
Thank
anyway,
you so much.
Thank you,
so
Manvi, for presenting this on such a short notice. I contacted her yesterday only because of the presenter withdrew. So it was very nice you presented this in very short notice.
Thank you so much.
okay, so we may have questions right now. I do have a few questions myself, so I'll start off by asking them, and then everyone else
Sure.
can follow the suit. So
Okay, sure.
give me a second. So you say that semantic memory is stored in neocortex, and that's what we dream, right? So, but sometimes what happens is, say I dream about something that happened yesterday. That's supposed to be an episodic memory, right? So, how do we explain that?
See, actually, let me first clarify that I am not a memory person. I haven't researched much in memory. But yes, let me just clear the point that if you're seeing that particular event to be repeated, that means the phenomenology comes in. You have some emotions related to that particular event which you did not repress.
That I
You
seem to
repress
have
that.
repressed. Yeah.
You repress that. Yeah, you did not throw it out, or you did not resolve that thing. So that is not related to purely episodic memories. That can also be an anomaly, an abnormal transference of information from neocortex to hippocampus and vice versa. So that can be one of them.
Cool. So, another question I had is, REM sleep, as you mentioned, was something that blocks the sensory motor pathways and networks, right? So in that
Yeah.
in that AIMS thing. So if that is the case, is it related to say sleep paralysis?
Yes.
So REM sleep is why sleep paralysis happens, something like that.
I just told you now that the regions, the sensory, the parts in the neocortex which are responsible for taking sensory input and producing a motor output for that particular movement, that is blocked. Those regions are blocked. That is actually that is happening just to make you paralyzed during sleeping. Like
So
you
everything
have
top down is blocked, right?
no, everything top down is not blocked. The regions I showed you in that diagram uh, are blocked, the two particular regions. Now, there's a study, very interesting study on a cat, wherein you say there's a switch which is actually turning on and turning off the movements while sleeping, while you're dreaming. So in that cat, that switch was turned off. So she was actually enacting out what she was dreaming about. Okay, so that's a good study. In fact, you can, if you want, I can read it whole and actually let you know the whole process and what is happening inside. Although, if, for your question, I would answer on this two areas only. That only these two areas are actually inhibited while you're sleeping and while you're dreaming to make you stay away from enacting your dreams out.
Okay, so I have another question. That is, you mentioned that the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex was, I mean, if it was active, then dreams would make sense. So we should not have it active. So my question
Yes.
was, what happens in case of lucid dreaming? Does it remain active somewhat or something?
See, everywhere in every field, there are some exceptions which are really hard to digest and really hard to study also. So that is the only reason I am being very interested about, in studying all this lucid dreaming and deja vu dreaming, but I haven't touched them anyway because I want to be clear about all the basics of dreaming, the normal dreaming first, and then I will move forward to lucid dreaming. So I can't, express and answer your question on lucid dreaming.
That's cool. It's quite
So,
interesting.
Manvi, can I ask a
Yeah.
question?
Yes.
So this is a doubt
Surely,
actually. So
surely.
in one of your slides, you have shown that the so during stage 4, the slow wave sleep, there is some amount of signal that goes from hippocampus to the neocortex. Especially in the early
Yes.
stages of the sleep, this information transfer is more. So I was wondering that every time there is some information coming to the neocortex, let
Yeah.
it be from sensory inputs or from hippocampus or wherever, there should be some amount of conscious perception happening. So why does it happen? Is that true? I mean, it's fair enough to expect that some amount of conscious perception happens,
See.
right?
Now that's what I'm trying to prove, Murthy. Actually, all the time I've been trying to prove that yes, sleep is a conscious process, and in my favor,
No, no,
my
no.
thoughts that dreaming or sleep. Yeah,
No, no. What I'm saying is,
am I missing out on the point?
no, no. What I'm saying is, when there is some information transfer happening to the neocortex, there will be some conscious perception. But when this is happening in slow wave sleep,
Mm-hmm,
also we should be able to perceive something, right?
mm-hmm.
That doesn't happen. In slow wave sleep, it's really a deep state of sleep. We just don't know what is happening
No, no.
around.
See. Slow wave sleep is see. The first and the foremost thing is we take REM as the main dreaming stage of sleeping, but that's not true. The dreams can occur at any point of any stage of dreaming sleeping, and that is all possible. And yes, your point, slow wave sleep can also induce some sort of conscious perception. So that is true. While throughout this process, we are trying to perceive or sense something that is going on inside the brain, because all the information is pseudo-sensory. It is all internally generated. There is nothing that is coming from outside. So all that is happening is from inside. All the perception and sensation that is happening is from inside. And yes, in every stage it is possible.
but you don't perceive it when you are sleeping. When you are deep asleep, you don't
Why don't we
perceive anything
perceive?
conscious. I
See,
mean, dreams occur only at certain times of the
perception
sleep.
and sensation are no. See, what do you actually mean by perception? See, in psychology, perception is a process that comes just after sensation, right? So if there is sensation, there must be a perception. If you're seeing a dream, you're perceiving that dream. That is why you remember that dream. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. So there's an explanation from Arkansas for you.
Yeah,
Let me
I've
just
gone through it.
explain it to you.
Yeah. Anyways, thanks.
Uh,
It's a good
he's
talk and
saying he's
enjoyed it.
saying that yeah no, let me just clear this out.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Mackenzie has just written that down that you have experiences during Yog Nidra which is associated with slow waves. So yes, that is another point of explanation for you. Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so we have another question here by Vashisht. He wants to ask you what exactly are the differences between REM and non-REM dreams from an interim imaging perspective.
From an
You
what?
from an imaging perspective, say brain imaging.
Okay, brain imaging perspective. That's very simple. The EG waves. You can just simply see the diagram I put it in the first place. If you mind, if I present my screen again, that would be very helpful for him.
That's
I'll
cool.
just
That's
share
cool.
my screen again. Okay, see this. EMG, EG, and EOG. All these recordings are being taken.
We
Surface
can't
recordings
see
are
your
there, and
screen.
you can
You can't see
differentiate
your
between
screen.
them. Damn it! Why can't
You
you?
you can't you can see. Okay, so it's something that I am facing. You can go on.
Can you see?
Yes, right now you can. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So see, surface recordings are here. EMG, EG, and EOG surface recordings are here, which absolutely show a difference. EMG is electromyoencephalograph. So this is showing that while you're awake, there's a lot of muscular activities. In REM, it is a bit lower, and then in REM, it is not at all. No muscular activity can be seen, or less muscular activity can be seen, and that can be seen only in eyes. Electroencephalograph. That is, you know, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. I am very, freaked out. So these EOG electrodes are put out. If you can see my face, I am pointing out on my eyes. It is, we put it here, and then we measure the activity of EOG, which represent the proper, the eyes, the movement of eyes, as in the eyes are properly, in a regular, moving in a regular interval of time, or you say. And that is all, if you see the process, that is all easy. But if you can want to differentiate them between the wake and REM and again the slow wave sleep, you can find any of the brain waves difference. And yes, paralysis also comes while that is also only observed while you're in REM only, and I don't think so it is in NREM. So that is the basic.
So basically, like from a
I hope I am clear about this.
hi Manvi. So yeah, I was asking from an imaging
Yeah,
perspective, like
yeah,
fMRI sort of. So basically, what we study in clinical medicine is that
yeah.
most
I'm
of
talking
the
about EG only.
no, I'm talking about fMRI. Like what is there sort of
Yeah,
difference because most of the clinical disorders, like the parasomnias, what we call them, are NREM disorders, right? So like someone is sleepwalking or something, that sort of stuff. So I
okay.
want to know if the dream. So what we traditionally learn is that REM sleep में dreams वगैरह होते हैं. So is it similar in non-REM
Yes, exactly.
or the content itself is different? Like the areas of brain that are included in.
Okay, so No, what my point is, yeah, exactly. Of course, areas of brain are absolutely different. Activation is absolutely different. Because see, while you're in a REM state, the activity, the brain waves generated absolutely go at a level which is different from NREM stage, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that would absolutely mean that there's a difference. There's a bit difference between the activation of brain regions. Now you see SWA. This is an SWA. I hope this is an fMRI or MRI scan. Okay, so what it is? Spectral analytic measure,
Can I
है.
add here?
So this is representing.
Hey Manvi, can I add here? Like,
Yeah,
whatever
I
you're
can.
showing is actually EEG. And to the question that was asked just now, so
Yeah,
this is not possible, practically feasible to
about
do the
fMRI.
study using fMRI. Why? Because MRI just produces so much of noise that
But
it's not. And also typical MRI scans last for like half an hour also. Many
see,
people have this. So it's not possible
fMRI
to.
study is very.
Have you seen any study, fMRI study with sleep? I haven't. Right. So
No,
it's a
these
practical
studies
difficulty,
with
and
fMRI
whatever.
are.
So
No,
like,
see,
why is it
I
actually
think that
difficult?
this is
Like there is.
possible.
I
Yeah,
don't think so, because
I mean,
what
I
happens in
know.
MRI is there's this
Yeah, yeah.
a sound like tack 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 tack, the sound. So what happens is that disturbs your sleep, and
That
EEG
is
is
true.
silent. And what happens in
Yeah.
EEG is
Mhm.
you don't really feel anything else. You don't have any other stimuli to distract you from exactly your resting state. So that's why
Yeah.
EEG is used.
Yeah.
That's very true.
See, let
That is
So
me.
very true. We
Let,
have sleep studies going on for 8 hours.
yeah. Yeah. Right.
For 8 hours, yeah. But fMRI studies typically last for half an hour. Even resting state fMRI studies typically last for half an hour, not more. And similarly, these studies are performed in like really closed spaces that fMRI. So has
Hmm.
anybody undergone these studies? I was a volunteer at IASC.
Yeah, I
It's not a
also was
very
a
pleasant
yeah,
experience to.
it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
difficult to
I know that.
fall asleep, but
I know
I
that it is
think
not a
I was
pleasant
actually
experience.
I was actually doing a task. I was doing an oddball task under the MRA, and but yeah, I felt
Yeah.
sleepy. I almost dozed off. So I don't think that the
Yeah, you
sound is.
almost. No, that is true. But even these studies last for half an hour, and if you have to perform this experiment for 8 hours in an MRA, it's going to be costly, and I don't know whether it will reveal anything new other than what EEG already does. So if you want to get over this problem of technical feasibility, the alternative is
Mhm.
NIRS, which again measures hemodynamic
Mhm.
response. But unlike
Mhm.
fMRA,
Mhm.
it is easy to perform, and there are just no noises, no disturbance, no closed spaces, right? So,
So yeah, my question was more regarding the
huh.
temporal activation pattern of the brain, which I think
Yeah,
is shown in
so
EEG diagrams also if it has good spatial
that's true.
resolution.
So temporal activation patterns
Yeah.
you get
Assuming that
better
the
with
content of
EEG. Hello.
yeah, I was assuming that the content of REM and
Yeah.
non-REM
Yeah.
dreams are similar. So I thought the activation would be similar, but I think it's being cleared now. So is it
Right.
actually the content, the phenomenology of
Okay.
the dream during REM and non-REM different? Like how different is it?
Yeah, in EEG, these are different. So in REM sleep, you have when you close your eyes and you're active, you see something called as alpha oscillations. Okay, these are
No, no,
typical
I get
oscillations
it. I get
between
it.
8 to
REM
12
and non-REM
hertz.
are defined based on EEG patterns. I'm asking like, is there a difference in the content of the dream itself?
Content in the dream in the sense?
Like whatever we are like, like whatever is happening in the dream.
Why would it change when
So, are
you
you talking
switch
about
from?
difference between dreaming of NREM and REM? Are you
Yeah,
talking about
Oh,
that?
I see.
I assumed it was
Oh, I see.
different, and I thought the activation pattern would be different. So I'm asking now, is it actually
Actually,
different?
if you talk about phenomenologically about this particular notion, then I would rather say that NREM sleep would be more vague and not to the point. but REM sleep would be more to the point and easy to remember, because yes, then REM is somehow more favorable for dreaming, while NREM isn't. Okay, so
Oh,
that might be a difference.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank
So I guess that answers all the questions
Hello.
we had.
I have a
Okay,
couple of
Pushparaj.
questions.
Okay,
Yeah.
go on.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, sure.
one thing, this was a really interesting talk. But the thing is, there are a lot of terms which I didn't understand. So, okay, let me just make it clear. So what I took away from this talk is
Mhm.
that we have these major two states, NREM and REM during sleep. Is that right?
Yes.
And
Mhm. Yeah.
you have these two regions, hippocampus and neocortex. And hippocampus somehow stores
Yes. Right.
memory when we are awake, and
Yeah.
there is some transfer of signal between your hippocampus and neocortex.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
somehow the signal uh, from hippocampus travels to your neocortex, and that gives dream. Is that like layman explanation?
Yeah. The layman
Because
explanation is very good, but there might be a, yeah, that
no,
there might be some mistakes, from hippocampus to neocortex to neocortex to hippocampus. So that might be, some confusion, but yeah, you got it
okay,
absolutely
yeah,
correct. And if you
okay.
want to, know about this a bit little deeper, then you can. It is very easy to know. I mean, it's
Okay.
very interesting also.
So my doubt is this. I've seen in a lot of
Yeah.
psychology studies they do brain damage studies. So in the sense, to know the function of one region, they take people who have a damaged part, and they see, okay, they don't
Yeah.
have these features, and so probably this region is useful for this feature. So my doubt is, so have there been studies saying, okay, they have a damaged hippocampus and so they are not able to dream, or uh, is that, has it been?
Yes. There are a lot of studies. I even, in fact, I read one today itself. Actually, did not read it whole properly, but yes, there are studies which show how people with damaged hippocampus dream. So
Oh,
yes, it's a good point of study. I'll read more about this. Thank you for stimulating
okay.
this
And
one.
the other one
It's
was
really good. Yeah.
like other interesting angle I used to look at is from an evolutionary thing. So at what level of nervous system do we get
Yeah.
dreaming? Like at what level of organisms do dreams start to happen?
Yes. Yes, I read about this at a certain point of time, but I don't remember the name of that organism. But it is not a mammal, also. I don't actually remember, because it's the only which is, known to dream irrespective of any, evolutionary changes, evolutionary advances in it. So it's a very, back back in time, if we go, it's a very rudimentary type of
Yeah.
organism, but it can also dream, and we have studied dreaming on that particular organism. So yes,
Okay.
with evolution, this particular process phenomena has evolution, with evolution it has enhanced in
So
till
in that sense,
we
what
have reached
advantage do
in
dreams
humans,
give? Like
it has
why is it?
enhanced
Sorry. Hello.
as phenomenal, the phenomenological aspect.
And
Hello, the
can you make
phenomenological aspect,
what do
as
you mean
it
by
shows
phenomenological?
that,
Like hello.
phenomenological is basically, not related to physiology. I mean, I am referring it to as in, if you take it as a myth or a notion, or
Oh,
as a
okay. It's
not
not
related to brain
technically
motion.
defined. It's
If you talk about that, not technical. Yeah,
okay.
exactly. So if you talk about that part, as Freud also, explained dreams as a natural phenomena to, carry out those emotions which are repressed, relieve yourself from the negativity around you, or the negativity that is related to some of the other emotions that are repressed. inside. So maybe it is acting like a phagocytotic material inside you, which is actually pulling out the dirt from inside you.
Okay.
So maybe it's an evolutionary benefit to us.
Oh, sure. And other silly doubts like why can't we remember dreams?
Yeah, why can't we remember dreams is another important aspect, which I guess Vashisht, discussed with him
Oh,
just
okay.
now, that if we see a dream in NREM condition, then we can forget dreams. It is most probable to forget dreams if we are dreaming in NREM or in any stage except REM, because REM is the most favorable sleep stage to dream. So if we see dreams in REM condition, then yeah, it is easy to remember them, because I remember all my dreams, so I think I see them in REM state. But some
Oh,
of my friends do not remember their dreams at all. So
sure.
maybe there's a difference.
Thanks. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Can I ask my question now?
Yes.
Sure.
Hello.
Go on.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, sure.
Okay. Thanks, Manvi. Nice talk. Question
Thank you.
is, I think I saw one of your slide. You mentioned that there is no directed thinking while we are in sleep. Right? Hello.
Yes, yes.
Hello.
Yeah,
So my
I can listen
question
to
is,
you. Your voice is a bit breaking. Yeah.
okay, you got a question or
Please
shall I
continue.
repeat? So my
You
question
said there
is,
is no directed thinking, right?
yeah. So my question is, but in our daily lives, what we do, we solve while we are dreaming. We also try to solve some problem. We can solve some problems. People find solutions to their problem. So if there is no directed thinking, then how problem solving or this problems, this finding solution in dreams happens. So I would like your comment on that.
Okay, so yes, as I answered on the question on lucid dreaming, I do not touch the exceptional cases as of now. I try to study the basic concepts of dreaming. So yes, this is another good question. I am getting deja vu. Okay, so maybe this is a good question, but I'm not sure about it. Maybe this is because it is in flow that we are able to think about it, and sometimes somehow we get insights, right? Like if I am here talking to you, but somehow I get a solution, an insight that wow, yeah, I got my solution to that problem which I was thinking about the last day. So that might be an example of insight, maybe, or that might be a result of the process, the procedural dreaming we are dreaming about. If that particular problem is in your dream, you're doing, there is something, the neural circuits are connecting, and कहते हैं तार मिल रहे हैं. So if there is something, the circuits are in that way, the creation in that way, so that may be a way of finding that solution. That might be the case. I'm not clear about this, but did I make
Okay.
sense?
So
Yeah.
if I may add in a bit, so
Yeah.
if you, I'm talking to Avinash right now. So if you see, there's this book by Freud, it's called Interpretation of Dreams. If you read it, it's quite boring a book, because he mentions the same things over and over again. But then,
I
uh,
haven't read it. I will
so
try.
so there he explains how dreams work, and what he puts a lot of emphasis in is that dreams are a part of subconscious.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Mhm.
according to his theory, there we have three parts: eight, subconscious, and conscious, superego. So
Conscious.
yeah, so what happens is,
So I
uh,
know.
in subconscious, what happens is we think about problems we already know, but then we are not directly putting our effort into it. It just goes on in the back of our mind, right? So
Yeah, that we can.
yeah.
But my question was, and we can do it while we are sleeping.
How we
So
can?
my question was more on that. Do while we are sleeping,
Yeah, so when we are
actually,
sleeping and we are
there
in
is
the
no
dream
direct.
state, so when we are in the dream state, our subconscious is supposed to be active. So in that case, what
Okay.
happens is it's
So
similar to say you are just lazing around and suddenly you think of something that you were very stressed about a while ago, and at this point you weren't even thinking
yeah,
about it, but then you just somehow got the right answer to it. So it's kind of similar. It's
That is
subconscious,
insight. Yeah.
that's working here.
yeah. Okay. Thanks.
That is insight, Ankush. What you're talking about is we call it as insight. Okay. So that is what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. I mean, during dreaming, that might be possible that you got an insight.
Because it also goes in the way as she mentioned as semantic memory helping us. So the problems we are concerned about are encoded as semantic memory. So that way we can always access those while we are dreaming. Makes sense, right?
Yeah, yeah. Thanks.
And yes, Sir Gordon got a beautiful example that benzene ring was discovered while dreaming. I mean, the person was dreaming while he suddenly discovered benzene ring, and that is because you keep thinking about those things in actual, while you're awake. You keep thinking about these things. So that is what comes in your dream. That is why it is actually suggested that you see and think about positive things to see positive and good dreams.
Yeah, most of our dreams are based on what we did yesterday or the day on that day before.
See, most of the dreams
Right.
is not the. I mean, whatever information is
Yeah,
inside your brain is what you are.
yeah,
If you're a negative person, then you have negativity inside your brain, and that is what you see while dreaming. So that is what matters.
yeah.
So I guess we are done with all the questions right now.
I
So
hope so.
Pranjal, are you still there?
Yeah, any more questions, please?
Hello. So
If there are,
it's not related to this
Okay.
talk specifically, but so for an outsider, like how do we get to know all this jargon, or like the thing is like there's so many resources and we're not really sure what to look at, and so it will
So
be really great
basically,
if you guys can somehow direct us towards like how to. Yeah, we
the
can
first thing is
probably
you
move.
read about everything and anything. Okay, so it's not like there's a specific thing that you need to read.
Yeah,
There's specific journals you need to follow. You
no,
just need to go
not
on
just
finding
journals
everything.
part, but like even before that, like let's say I just learned biology till like 10th or something. Then like
So I,
right
I
now,
also learned computer
I
computer
understand.
till 10th, but then I still work on programming. So it's not really it's something to be worried about.
no,
No, no,
that's not
Ankush,
what I
he
meant.
means what
Yeah,
what material should he follow to enter neuroscience
Yeah,
field.
that's
So
what.
I can guide you on that
Yeah, sure,
on Telegram. Okay,
sure.
you just text me. I'll provide you some content. I have some good content.
Okay, yeah. Because
You
right now
can
I'm just
also try this
yes.
book by
googling and seeing Wikipedia, but soon it becomes a
you
dependency.
Exactly.
you can try courses on Coursera or somewhere like that. I mean,
Aha, I
they are
have done
very
many courses on
Sure.
Coursera, and they are beautiful. I can suggest you some.
Yeah, okay. We can move it to
Good
Telegram. Yeah.
courses on EX too.
Yeah, sure.
so. I guess that's about it, right? I mean, for today.
yes, that was a very interactive session. Thank you very much. Now, can I have very frank suggestions? What do you think?